Hello, hello, I'm Kads, and welcome back to the free-to-play review. So it is once again time to review another iteration of the summon pool, and in this case, it is the Ogyrn summon pool. I guess at this point, we kind of expect there to be one with every release of the faction unity champion for whatever faction. So next up, I think, is Skinwalkers? No, Lizardmen. So probably next month, July, we're going to see the same thing, another summon pool, the Lizardman summon pool, whenever the faction unity champion for Lizardmen is released, so on and so forth, until we get all the way through Sylvan Watchers, and maybe, just maybe, they'll release the last faction with the faction unity champion. That'd be kind of interesting. I think we're overdue, probably, for the last faction in the game, but we'll see when that happens. But nonetheless, here. So the Ogyrn summon pool, you guys know the gist of these things. They've been pretty consistent over the past few months. Well, I guess the last one was definitely an exception where they had, I guess, 4 opportunities to get a free summon. In this case, they're kind of back to the norm of having 2 free summons. And once again, this is effectively a Sacred Shard, 6% legendary chance, 94% chance epic. The legendaries up for grabs are not really like amazing. Like Korrigar Deathbell is okay. He's one of the champions who again is more annoying as like an enemy combatant, so to speak. He's like a cleanser, ally protector, and he heals himself when you attack anyone under ally protection. The faction unity champion does kind of seem quite interesting. He has like a Kale / Teodor ability on the A1s, and it's an AoE, so he has a chance to activate any poisons, which is just 1 instance. And then HP burns 1 instance as well. So 50% chance every time he A1's pretty strong. Good probably in a retaliation set or avenging set, something like that. A2, AoE attack, 2 poisons, and HP burn. So very strong, kind of like a Teodor in terms of the amount of damage this can output. Granted, there's no poison sensitivity here. So you're swapping that for the HP burn. And then here, increase accuracy on all allies. So it does a bunch of other stuff if you have more champions in the faction, but we're going to skip that part. Ignatius, irresistible AoE HP burn, so he can be good for, or he is good for Spider Hard mode if you don't have a Walking Tomb Drang who can do the same thing on a lesser cooldown. But if you're doing it quickly, it doesn't really matter who does it, as long as it's irresistible, then it's guaranteed to happen every time, so it's consistent for the run. Blizzard the Howler, previous fusion, so pretty good for Fire Knight Hard as a budget option. He's no newt, but he can definitely provide a lot of freezes, and very, very strong in the Curse City, again, for hard mode Fire Knight iterations. For the epics, Ogyrn, great poisoner, Skrank, great HP burner. I guess they would both pair well with the faction unity champion. Old Gruckus, somewhat underrated, but decent for the Curse City, hail reduction, decreased attack, AoE. Skull Crusher, again, Curse City. I mean, Demon Lord clan boss, to be fair. He was in my original one, but the AoE counterattack on everyone but himself, so they're really strong. Lauren the Cutter, nice, again, AoE heal reduction if you want to use him for Amius. Siege Hulk, one of the hardest hitters in the faction, very strong. Ugo, Hydra Goddess, Grosh, pretty good AoE damage, but you're going to get him as a login reward champion. So overall, honestly, if you just happen to get 1 free summon from the events, which we'll talk about in a bit, you could walk away. The odds are good that you walk away with a very good and usable epic, or you could walk away with a pretty decent, maybe a S tier or maybe A tier for the faction unity champion legendary. But yeah, you can get decent champions from the pool, but it's nothing amazing. I think Ogyrn's overall is definitely one of the weakest factions in the game, unfortunately, but maybe they'll get the Skinwalker treatment, because Skinwalkers used to be very, very bad, and then they added Ragash and Leo and Cleo and a bunch of other champions recently, Mighty Uko, who've been really, really good and really raised the power level of the Skinwalkers faction. So hopefully Ogyrn Tribes is kind of the next wave of improvements in that way. So we mentioned it, there are a couple of ways to earn yourself a couple of free, or quote, summons, one of which is unfortunately in the Dungeon Divers, so it's very, very painful, but if you do go all the way up to 5,000 points over the course of the 3-day long Dungeon Divers, you can get yourself a free summon. Obviously the champion fragments for the fusion are at 3,700, which is again a more painful thing, so you're gonna have to super cap the dungeon tournaments going on, or just go all the way out there running, I guess, a bunch of spider. That'd be the quickest. But again, you can get yourself a free summon if you want to go for that. And of course, the tried and true other alternative source is the Sand Devil Turn Attack Tournament, so you can get the top reward there, 3,500 points, and get yourself a free summon. So this is not the most free-to-play friendly variation of it, because again, Dungeon Divers is extremely costly in terms of energy and or gems for energy in that sense. And then Sand Devil's typically farmed by endgame people. It's not something you should really be doing in the early game and the mid game, just because you're more focused on getting gear versus ascending the gear that you don't have yet. But nonetheless, you know, if you're more in the end game, you could be focusing on this, especially if you're not doing the fusion. You have nothing better to do, I hope. Then, you know, shoot your shot. And yeah, so I think this is not going to be a very popular one for the spenders out there who tend to buy Prism Shards or crystals, whatever they're called. So this is not really like spenders central, because there's just nothing like S tier amazing in the pool. And then, you know, the free to play summons or the free summons, or, you know, if you want to work for it, fine. But again, this is probably not the one I would go hard on, just because there's nothing that really stands out. Maybe if you're looking for one of those like S tier, A tier epics along the way, then it could be quite useful just to grind out the free summon. So it kind of depends on you. There's no formal recommendation for me here. It kind of depends what you need on your account. For me, I have basically all of these epics aside from Skrank, who I would like, but he's not worth grinding 5,000 points in Dungeon Divers for a chance just to get him. So with all that said, it's fairly obvious that I personally will be skipping the summon pool, and I think a lot of people will probably be passing on this one in particular, but maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comment section down below if you are interested in this particular iteration of the summon pool, and of course, if you do happen to get something, let me know what you got in the comment section down below. That is going to do it for the free-to-play review of the Ogyrn summon pool, and as always, if you did find this video helpful, then be sure to hit that like button down below, and feel free to subscribe to the channel for more content just like this one in the future. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.